Hi, my name is James Hunter, and this is a My Two Cents channel where I talk about different topics from physical fitness to mental health and wellness and just different topics of interest. And today I want to talk about working with individuals who are resistant to changing or people who don't want to take responsibility for their own behavior as far as areas of their life that they need to work on changing. And in this video I'm going to talk about essentially where's the control or where's the responsibility for change. There's a term called locus of control, and sometimes people view locus of control as outside of them, or it's internal, it's inside of them. I am the source of control as it relates to myself in relationship to situations, people, the world, and so on. So being a counselor, a licensed professional counselor for 20 years, and working in different settings. I've worked with mental health and substance abuse settings, residential treatment centers, programs, inpatient, outpatient, and so on. Individuals coming out of the prison system, felons, and so on. So I've worked with individuals who have a lot of thinking type of patterns, thinking errors, if you will, distortions, deeply ingrained, pervasive patterns, way of being as it relates to the internal experience they have. And their internal experience that they have really is their problem. It's how they view the world, where they view the responsibility, and so on, having extreme ways of thinking. So today I want to talk about, a statement I've heard over the years with different people, and they'll say, well, nobody gives a shit. Or nobody cares. I've heard that before. I'm sure perhaps a lot of you have heard that as well. Maybe you've been talking to someone before about a situation. Maybe you're talking about them on something that they need to deal with, or it's an important matter and that you are working on. And the person says, well, nobody gives a shit anyways. Nobody cares. And this is something that, a lot of people, when they're trying to work with somebody, they may not know how to respond to that or how to take it. A lot of times it can throw you off or be a distraction. And that's really what it is. It's a distraction to divert attention away from the individual that you're dealing with. When I worked with felons, and not just people coming out of the prison, but people in mental health settings who are just from all walks of life, young, teenagers, young adults, older people, my age and older, dealing with behaviors that are problems for them, and you're trying to help facilitate insight to that behavior so they can work on changing that and learn a different way of being. And so when they say this statement, well, nobody gives a shit, it's really a way of saying they don't give a shit or I don't give a shit, meaning that what's the point? Why try to change the behavior? So the way of looking at the situation when an individual says that nobody gives a shit, what that is communicating is that they have a premise or a prerequisite that in order for them to change their behavior, they have put a requirement that is based on a contingent outside of themselves. It's what other people think about them, whether they place value on them changing. And the problem with that is you're putting your fate, if you will, if you want to use that term, fate, or your outcome, rather, may be a better way of looking at it, because fate may imply, lack of choice. But there's our choices in life. So outcome is probably a better word. So if you're looking at your outcome, if you're trying to change something and you're placing it on a contingent that's outside of you, what other people think, whether they place value on you changing, they give a shit or not. The problem is that they're in control, and therefore why even bother? The truth is you're trying to put the responsibility somewhere else. You're putting it outside of you, and by doing that, you're not in a position. You've basically rationalized, a position for yourself to where you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take responsibility. You can maintain the status quo and stay comfortable where you don't have no anxiety, because change in behavior sometimes can put us in a situation where we need to confront things that may cause anxiety or make us anxious, which is not a bad thing. Sometimes we need to feel anxious in order to be motivated to change, to have a sense of urgency to do something about our life. So let's talk about our values and what matters and what's important. At the end of the day, It is what you value. What's important to you? Internal, the locus of control, it's you. If you have value upon yourself, and if you have respect for yourself and respect to the situation or thing you're working on that needs to be changed, it's not going to matter whether other people give a shit or not, or what other people value about you. Your own desire, your own passion, your own goal, your own motivation for respect for yourself should be suffice. That by itself should be all that's required. Now, it is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong, rather, to get feedback from people, maybe have opinions from individuals, people you know, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, it's what you think that's going to make the difference and what's going to matter when it comes to changing your life and taking responsibility. I don't need to be concerned whether someone related to me or somebody from work or anybody, it has a relationship with you. I don't need to be very concerned to what extent they care about my situation, if I need to change it or not, because ultimately the responsibility is mine. It's not up to John Doe. It's not up to Jane Smith as far as how much they should care about my situation. They have their own lives that they are responsible for. They have their plate in life that is full of things that they have to work on themselves in their own lives. So let's not get distracted. Let's not get preoccupied on where we put the power for change and where we displace that sometimes, not realizing it. Anytime you get into that negative thinking where you're just going to say, well, nobody gives a shit, nobody cares anyways, you're really saying you don't care. It's one way to look at it. You're also saying that the source of control for your life is in another person's hands. And what does that say for your situation, and what does that say about yourself? It doesn't say a whole lot as far as you having any type of responsibility or you having your hands on the steering wheel for your situation. Drinking some vinegar water from this big giant glass here. So it's I live in South Texas. Just a quick little side comments here, and it's the last day of March 30th, and March is just giving us a parting jab. It's raining today and it's 49 degrees. So hopefully it'll be a bit warmer here in April, and just maybe I can make some videos outside. But what do you think? What do you think about what I just discussed? Where is the responsibility for change in our lives? Where is the responsibility, or where should the motivation come from in order for us to do the right things for our life, in order for us to have the best life possible? Whether you've made some mistakes, we all can make mistakes. And how do we change that? How much should it matter if other people will give a shit or not, or if they care? The truth is, some of us have more supportive relationships than others, and that's the way it is in life. And this video that I'm making is not to say that it's not a good thing to have support, to have moral support from people who do care about you, who do place value on your success, who place value on you succeeding, or who place value upon you changing for the better. That's a good thing. And if you have that in the most ideal, perfect world, if everybody has that 100% of the time, that's great. But the reality is we live in a world that can be competitive sometimes. Relationships are not always 100% supportive. You have different types of relationships: co-workers, siblings, your parents, best friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, wife, husband, so on. So the different relationships are going to have a closer degree of intimacy and more support. So some relationships, you have people who are friends, but they're human beings, so they may not always be as supportive as they could be, and they may unintentionally come across as not supportive, just human nature sometimes. So that's when you have to make the decision to be okay with yourself and hear that it is suffice for you to respect yourself. It is suffice for you to want to do better, to improve your situation, whatever it is. You're the responsibility. Doesn't matter to the extent of whether other people give a shit or not. It's up to you. And that's just where that lies as far as of the balance, having a balance. So those are my thoughts. What do you think? What are your opinions on that? Does anyone here have their own thoughts on that as far as, sometimes in videos you hear people talk about haters, right? So doesn't matter if you have haters or not in different situations in your life, You don't need your haters. Some people say my haters, they fuel me, or they are my fuel to do better. It's a better way of looking at that is that your passion, your goals, your respect for yourself, that's your fuel. That's what motivates you, and that's what gets you going. And that is what you can use or focus upon, being positive. So just try to think about those things, whether you're someone on an extreme end who's made a lot of mistakes, been in a lot of trouble, and you're evaluating what's wrong in your life. You can't put it outside of you. You can't put yourself at the mercy of your perception of what other people think or not, in terms of, do you think other people have to care a lot about you changing yourself, So you might want to work on making the changes, and when people see that, lo and behold, they might actually start, becoming congruent with who you are, the new person. They'll say, hey, this person has changed for the better. You get credibility, and then people kind of see that, they recognize it. Perhaps you're someone who's made mistakes repeatedly, so people may not appear to care as much, right? Because, they're not necessarily convinced yet. So a lot can be said on what I just talked about. Where is the power to change? Is it lying inside of you, or is it outside of you? What are your values? What motivates you? And your perspective about relationships. So if you liked the video, click like, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. I just kind of shot a little bit on a few things in this video that relate to essentially our internal experience, where the source of responsibility is in relationship to ourselves, people in the world, and situations. And a lot can be said on that, the topic I just discussed. If you would like to suggest something for me to make a video about, whether it be mental health, physical fitness, relationships, recovery, whether it's any type of cultural issues that are going on right now in the world, something that you feel is relevant to being healthy, and that's can be a broad area. On my channel, I don't just narrow it just to simply the physical aspects of physical fitness. I focus on the whole person. So until I make another video, I hope that here for you to watch another one of my videos again in the future, because it does help me get more subscribers, hopefully, and more views to build this channel up, so I can build a community, if you will, of people who like to discuss different topics. And whether I get 1,000 views or whether I get 10 views, I'm still going to make videos if even a few people watch this. But it does help me with being motivated to see that people are what they're interested in, rather. So give me some ideas, people. Put some suggestions in the comments if you have any suggestions for my channel rather, in ways of subjects or topic matters. Until I make another video, maybe later in the week on Wednesday, for sure on the weekends. You have a good day. Thank you.